Bears suck.
Third down, Fields. There's room to run for Fields. Oh, turn it on to speed.
Wake up. This is Out High Bear Nation.
What's up, guys? Good afternoon, and welcome into another episode of Out of High Bear Nation right here on the Undefeated Sports Network. Joining you guys after the game, doing something a little different this week. Chicago Bears lose a heartbreaker to the Denver Broncos in Chicago, 31-28 final score. Some questionable decisions by Matt Eberflus and the coaching staff there at the end of the game. Obviously, not kicking the field goal there when it's a tie game. Don't understand the logic, and then you give Denver the ball back. They march right down the field as they did all of the second half. Chicago playing really soft zone defense and just not getting after the quarterback consistently. And we pay the price. Ultimately, the Bears fall to 0-4. Denver gets their first win of the year, and the Bears are the laughingstock of the NFL once again. So with that being said, guys, we're going to get right into it. What's up, Ace? How we doing?
You know. I got all
Hanging in there.
hyped. I got all hyped for a solid first half of football. Really a solid 3/4 of football. The Bears looked like a completely different team, and then all of a sudden the fourth quarter starts and you look like the same.
More of the
exact team that
same.
you've been.
More of this,
Yep.
if I may say so myself.
Dumpster fucking garbage fire.
So our Chicago Bears did everything they could to essentially piss that game away. I hate to say it like that, but you look at everything that Justin Fields did this afternoon. Young man has now the consecutive completion record for the Chicago Bears, taking that over from Shane Matthews in 2001. And we got Facebook user here in the chat saying Flus in Getsy's ass. I think they both should be fired, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. We got the live presser queued up, so whenever someone joins the podium, we'll listen to that live with you guys and give you our reaction real time. They are taking longer than normal for the Bears to get up to the podium, which
you know why?
Makes me wonder if somebody's being fired right now as we speak.
No, I don't think anybody gets fired today. I think I can't believe we're at this point, right, in the season. Talking about if this person gets fired today, that we're 0-4. Like, the year was supposed to be so special, right? This was the year. The Bears hired a new president of football operations. You get the second year of Justin in this offense. Bring in DJ Moore. The offense can only look better from last year. Well, now we sit at 0-4, tied. Well, they got the number one pick if the draft was tomorrow. The Bears have the number one pick right now.
And number two.
So it's just it's comical to me. Like
Caleb Williams and
but I mean, here's the thing though.
Harrison
Justin Fields was what 28 of 35 for 335 yards passing. That's his first ever 300 plus yard passing game. 4 touchdowns, and they still found a way to lose this game.
So here's the thing: I don't throw this loss on the shoulders of Justin Fields by any
I don't
means.
either.
However,
I mean, yeah, he made a bad mistake with the fumble. Oh, looks like we got
we
Flus at
have
the podium.
we have Flus at the podium, so let's go ahead and bring him in, see what he has to say here.
Okay. Just got out of the locker room with the players. Obviously, hard fought battle. I thought the guys had passion, had energy.
Passion and energy.
Stroke my
don't win
passion.
football games.
Stroke my passion.
Spots, and I thought that was a big improvement. And I thought the guys did a heck of a job of battling. There was some adversity at the end of that game where we had the fumble, return for a touchdown, and then
Some
response for
adversity.
that. I thought the guys
Yeah,
did a really good
the
job
coaching staff was the
in terms of
adversity.
responding to adversity and putting ourselves in position to have a chance to win that game at the end. And there's a lot of good moments in there. You talk about, Justin Fields' play. I mean, he really got into the flow. I thought the plan was excellent. I thought the guys did a good job of executing that. And, we distributed the ball to the skill. I thought we did a nice job of running the football. I think that's going to be important for us going in the future to be able to run the football like that. And, that's the big moments of this game. Obviously we had a really good first half in terms of statistically offense and defense.
He was shook,
Really
right?
good
The
job
coach
there.
is just like,
And
I
then
don't know
second half,
what the hell's
obviously we had
going
one
on.
takeaway for a score. We responded there, and then we got the ball down there with two and some change, 255 and some change, and we had 4th and half a yard. And you have a decision to make there.
And you made the wrong
one.
one.
Our offense was running the ball at that time, and we had a really good chance to seal the deal right there. And that was
Facebook users, if you guys go over to our
at that
YouTube
moment.
channel, we can get your name and
Again, the
everything up on
response for our
the
defense there. So they
the
ended up
screen
with
when you
chunk
put in
play.
a comment. Or
After that,
Tarbell, how do they do it on
our defense
Facebook?
did a good job of rising up to the occasion.
Facebook
Making it
user,
third and
if you
long,
go
and
over
we
to
forced the field goal, and then we had the ball
streamyard.com/Facebook
back
and
there
click
with some
allow,
time,
we will be
to
able
go
to
ahead
see
and
your
use
name
tie
and likeness
for,
when you put your
win the
comment
game.
on screen.
So that's where it was. But again, a lot of good moments in the game. I'm super excited about those things that we can build upon. It's a short week coming up, so the guys have to move their eyes forward, and we'll make the corrections. But obviously, we're all very disappointed in this hard-fought battle that we had today, and the outcome.
It shouldn't have been a hard-fought battle, dog. That's the problem right here.
For our football team. And,
Your soft zones
a lot of
made
good
it a
things out there
hard-fought
that we can build
battle.
upon. So with that, open up the questions.
On that 4th and 1, you would still need some other things than kicking the field goal.
Yeah,
All right, I'm done with him. I've heard enough.
Yeah, Eberflus. I don't know, man. So
I've heard
the
enough.
thing about
There's
Flus,
the only thing I wanted to see was Kevin Warren and or Ryan Poles at that podium saying this person is fired. And we see Eberflus take the podium. There was adversity when we had that fumble. That's not adversity. That's a shitty play call by your offensive coordinator in a critical moment.
so let me vent here. The adversity was his big word, right? In this whole beginning of the presser.
Might as well have said we're trying to figure out the whys.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a Nagy thing right there. The Bears, to me, are the definition of self-sabotage. And as somebody who is, I self-sabotage my own life at times, the idea that you're tied in this ball game, you're in field goal range, right? I understand you're 0-3, you have nothing really left to lose. But you do have a lot to gain from a victory, right? You have this performance by your quarterback who's putting on the game of his career, period. Not even, what about? No, this was the best game Justin Fields has played as a career or as a quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely.
This was better than the Steelers game a couple years ago. This was better than any game last year in terms of pure comfort. He looked in the pocket. He looked down the field. He made passes down the field. His receivers caught the ball. They were making plays after the catch. Overall, this was the best performance you've had, period, with this offense. And yes, Fields had that fumble that was a touchdown, and then you take the ball out of his hands. Dude had one mistake, right? How do you have a quarterback who at one point in this game was 16 for 17, and the only reason he had a one drop pass is because it was a Hail Mary at the end of the half. How do you take it out of his hands, who is clearly locked in, and then just run the ball 4 times in a row and not get a first down? Not only that,
I
but
don't
then
understand
you go and you try to get them to jump off sides, right? So you call a timeout, and
You
then you
waste
go
the
back
timeout.
on the field with a stupid play call when everybody knew you were going to run the ball right up the middle. Everybody knew.
And that's exactly what you did. And so here's my biggest complaint of the game. On 4th and 1, why are you running out of the shotgun? I do not understand that at all. Situationally, it makes no sense.
Right.
That's situational football 101. A high school football coach wouldn't make that decision. And yet here we are, Luke Getsy trotting out there trying to be the smartest man in the world.
Or here's the thing. You have your quarterback, man. Dude is a big dude.
You have Justin
They have
Fields.
yet to do a quarterback sneak successfully this year. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But remember week 1 when they did the whole Cole Kmet sneak? They did that again this
did that
game,
again
which was
today.
stupid, and I was pissed off that they did it, right?
It ended up working today, but
Just barely.
again, why do you do that when you have Justin Fields
Right.
as your quarterback?
Look at the Eagles, right? They're on 4th and 1. They have one of the highest success rates on 4th and 1 ever. Why? Because they give the ball to their quarterback, and then the running back comes from the back and pushes his ass forward.
Yep. Go make a play, Jalen.
Why can't
And that's
we
exactly
have
what the Bears
that?
should
Why
have
can't
done.
the Bears just be like, hey, you know what?
So-
That works.
So I want to go back to that 4th and 1 in the 4th quarter. You decide to go out of the shotgun and run it right up the gut with Khalil Herbert. If you're going to go shotgun on 4th and 1, why are you not running an RPO or something like that? If I don't love the concept as it is. I think you go under center and just push your quarterback forward for the yard. But if you're going to go shotgun schematically, you need to have DJ Moore or Cole Kmet be a quick check down option on the RPO, and then let Justin Fields run it to the outside because the box was stacked. So everybody running inside at the tackle box, if Justin Fields runs to the outside, all he's got to do is get a yard. You don't trust Justin Fields to get a yard in this situation. It's mind-boggling, especially after the performance that your quarterback had today, as you said, Angelo, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, the best passing game statistically of Justin Fields' young career.
Dude just looked confident today, right? And that's
then
one
you
thing.
saw him on
And
the
then-
sideline immediately after.
Right. And then you crush it all that work that you put in the whole day of building your
Gone.
quarterback up, gone because of a bad fumble. Yeah, he should have held the ball. He got smoked. He was
Dare
not
I say-
anticipating that.
Dare I say gone in 60 minutes?
I should have used that in a little promo slide. That'd have been cool. But your quarterback makes one mistake. The interception, I don't know. I watched that from a few angles, and it was it looked like Fields expected Cole to keep going,
And he
and
kinda sat
Kmet sat down
and-
on the route thinking that the ball was going to be there, and it looked like a miscommunication. Whatever, I'm fine with that. Yeah, it sucks because it was the end of the game, but
you took a shot to
right.
get your team into field goal range.
The fumble,
obviously.
I mean, at this point, I've learned to live with fumbles with Justin Fields. It's just kind of his thing. You know how Cutler threw the interceptions a lot?
I don't
It's
think
Fields'
that
thing.
should have been a fumble, though. I want to take that back for a second. I believe that was a forward pass. His arm was moving forward, and I watched a couple different angles, as you said, Ace, and to me, I almost, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Bears fan, just from pure analysis standpoint, I almost believe that should have been a forward pass. It wasn't ultimately called that way, and whatever, you live to fight another down, so to speak. But either way, I mean, schematically, what are you doing there? You want Fields to run to the weak side of the field. You've got guys blowing the backfield up. The protection looked good for the most part today. There were some sloppy false starts on Darnell Wright, which is really killing me that
There have been a lot of
talents
pre-snap penalties, right? And I feel like the Bears have had a lot of holding calls this year too.
That they have. They have.
which is, and Flus, hey, that was his thing. Hey, we're going to play hard football that hits principle. We're going to make sure that these guys are coached properly. They're doing the right thing. The small things
They're not doing any of that, though.
Right. They're not doing any of that. This
That's
team
the
looks
problem.
sloppy. They look disinterested in being out there most of the time. The 3 games before this, dare I say, last week's game was a swift defeat. But the Bears, they were out of that game in the first quarter. That game was over.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We knew that. The Packer game, that was a frustrating game because I feel like you could have won that game had you been a little bit more settled and focused on doing the small things. A lot of penalties in that game as well. The offense looked, rickety at times. You go into Tampa, it's hot weather. I mean, you can make excuses for all these games, right? Except for this one. Like, this game today was your game to win.
It was your game to win or lose, and they lost that game.
Right.
Justin Fields didn't lose that game, even though, sure, you have the pick at the end of the game. Obviously, that extinguishes your chances of winning, but
right, and of course, the quarterback gets the blame for all that shit when they lose. He puts the praise on everybody else when they win, right?
A quarterback throwing 4 touchdowns and having 330 yards in a game should not shoulder that loss.
And the thing about those touchdowns is, okay, so the DJ Moore touchdown, the first one, I don't think it was a touchdown. I think that's just me. But either way,
to overturn it, so a touchdown.
Right, so a touchdown is a touchdown. Either way, you're looking at 4 really good touchdowns. I liked the last one where the pocket collapsed, Fields took a step back, moved around a little bit, and instead of taking off like he could have and he usually would have, he found Herbert, boom, right in there, fired it in, touchdown. Just like with the Cole Kmet touchdown, right? When he rolled out, and I was like, oh, he's just going to run it in. And then he jumped past it a la Patrick Mahomes style and went to...
We got a comment in the chat here from our guy Foster Covers. Coaching lost the game. No adjustments made in third or fourth quarter. Couldn't agree with you more, my friend.
100%. And that's been the problem all year. That was the problem last year, too. They just didn't know how to make the adjustments real time. Like, you can make adjustments from game to game during the couple days before each game and all that stuff. But if you're not actively looking to, okay, what can we do as a defense? Because Russell Wilson is carving us up right now in the second half. Maybe not carving up, but...
You go away from playing the soft zone, which is exactly what Matt Eberflus does. I don't understand the inclination to play that soft zone defense and just get dink and dunked all the way down the football field, especially by a guy like Russell Wilson, who as a career passer lives off of those shallow crosses, those short to intermediate route concepts, and you just let him pick us apart and march it down the football field. I just don't understand the mentality there at all. I think that this Chicago Bears team needs to be more effective on defense, and we've got to get some help rushing the passer. Yannick Ngakoue, for as good as he's been through the first 4 weeks, I mean, he's been really the only bright spot on that defensive front. He's got to have some help on the other side. DeMarcus Walker is a great depth piece, but he's not your tried and true other option at defensive end. I just don't. This defense is so frustrating because
this team is frustrating.
The defense, especially today, absolutely locked down in the first half. I mean, you only allow 7 points. The Bears are up 28-7, and we're sitting here talking about a loss by 3 points after being up 28-7.
They were winning 28-7 with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. 28-7, 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and then they found a way to lose this game.
Got a comment here from Facebook user. Got to play press. Can't sit in soft off coverage. Exactly. That's key number one to this loss. If we had to do our bare bones in reverse, would be the soft coverage that the defense played. I mean, You look at Eberflus is supposed to be a defensive guy.
Yep.
He ran this awesome defense in Indianapolis that was world beaters, and I get it. He had a lot more weapons than he does here in Chicago over there, but
Right.
you know, the comments all week long, Flus comes out and says, we're close. I can tell that we're close to a win.
Lou Getzey says we're building something special.
Yeah. What are you building that's special?
It's just laughable because you're literally just sitting here this whole game, right? I was so excited to actually see.
Comment
Right,
here in the
100%.
chat.
That's something that this defense hasn't done. Get in the faces of these receivers, hit them at the line, get them off their routes. You're not giving them any problems. You're just basically being like, all right, we're going to stay here. We're going to drop back.
Right.
We're going to allow for that moderate passing game, not the deep ball. We're not going to let you behind us. But then they get down the field and you can't stop them once they're in the red zone.
Right. And it doesn't matter if you're going to let a guy like Russell Wilson pick your defense apart. I mean, you saw what Patrick Mahomes did to this Bears defense last week. He was out by halfway through the third quarter, and they had Blaine Gabbert in there. It was like a high school football game, man, where you watch all the starters are out, and then all of a sudden,
hey, I put the link to jump on in the description. So I told people if they want to hop on, it looks like we got our boy Mike that wants to talk some Bears.
all right, let's go ahead and bring him in. What's up, Mike? How we doing, bro?
Man, I haven't talked to you guys in a while, man.
It's
What's
been
up?
a minute. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
So, the Bears finding a way to choke games away like usual. What are your thoughts on it, Mike?
I'm cool with it. I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm in the tank bowl again right now. So
Already.
I saw what I wanted to see. And my big thing for why I'm in the tank bowl was pregame when it was like, yeah, we're just gonna trade Chase Claypool for a 5th or a 6th. And I was like, you traded a 1st for him, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
And we're asking for a 5th or a 6th 3 games into the year. When he made a comment that wasn't wrong.
Right.
I mean, it was a douchebag comment, but like
Right.
DJ Moore got caught. I don't know if you guys saw the mic'd up against Tampa.
Yep.
He got caught. Fields got caught. Oh, Claypool does it. Oh, cancer. Got to get him out of here. I'm like, well, tank bowl season.
Right. It seems to be the general idea here that the coaching staff is just in over their heads. They don't know how to utilize these players. The play calling, we've all watched all these games. It's been questionable at best most of the time. These 4th down tight end sneaks are getting a little bit ridiculous. You have a quarterback that is this big body dude, put him up there, sneak it. I just think you're looking at a team right now that, last year we talked about, well, they got to learn to win. Oh, they just have to look good. This year, they're finding ways to lose, and they're losing ugly in some of these games. Like we just talked about, Mike, they were winning 28-7 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter.
Right.
You stay on the field a little bit longer in one of those drives, and you ice that game away. You take the ball out of your quarterback's hand. He has 1 fumble, and all of a sudden you want to run 4 straight plays in a row. It's Luke Getzey. I think he thinks he's smarter than he is, and he's really out here just making himself look like a clown.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, and I will give some love. I do a new segment. It's called Fire Flus Mondays. I'm doing one tomorrow, but I also will sit there and understand, Russell Wilson and Sean Payton understand the game. When your entire secondary is out and the guys with the most experience is a year 2 guy in Brisker and a year 1 guy in Stevenson, I have to kind of, you're missing Gordon, you're missing Johnson, you're missing Jackson. And I get it, right. That second half adjustment they had, how they picked apart the secondary, that's exactly what I expected from them. And I was hoping you bring in a defensive-minded. I was told he was a defensive-minded guru, and they look worse than before he came in here. So, and it's year 2, and it's a completely new team. I didn't see any aggression. I didn't see anything really. And it's just unfortunate, man. Like right now, I just saw FanDuel posted Caleb. I'll send it to you guys in the chat, but it's Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. in a Bears jersey saying we have the 1 and 2 pick as it sits right now. I don't want either of them, because it's like if you don't make changes at the head coaching spots right now, it's for what? Like, what are we doing? Like, it's not going to make a difference.
So my concern about this whole thing, because clearly this season's already over, right? 0-4, odds of you somehow turning it around and making any type of noise are very slim. So now you're looking at a quarterback in Justin Fields. He has a game like he had today where this is the type of game when people are like, yeah, that guy can carry this team.
Right.
But now you're going to get rid of everybody. You're going to put it, if you decide to stick with him, another head coach, another offensive coordinator. It's the Cutler thing all over again, where you have six offensive coordinators for one dude every other year. Are you worried about that going forward? Or like if they decide, or do you think that's kind of an indication that they're going to just move on from Fields at the end of this season?
I think you have to. I think T could speak on it better than I can because he just understands the front office a lot better than me. But, I think for me, winning a championship and getting to that position of even being in that conversation is 10 times easier when you have a quarterback that's still on a rookie deal. It's kind of unethical to if you have the number one pick and let's say it stops right now, stop the count, it's over, season's done, we have the 1 and the 2, we're drafting tomorrow. It's unethical to sit up here and say, well, Justin Fields is going into year 4. We don't know if we're going to pick up his 5th-year option. We don't know if we're going to extend him. What is he even worth?
Right.
What is that market? Does the next head coach want him? Did Ryan Poles even want him? Like we did the same thing with Nagy. We knew Nagy didn't like Trubisky off rip, and we knew that Pace really regretted it about 6 weeks into the season. And it's like, that's that conversation we have. It's like, I don't know about Drake May or Shador, or obviously you look at guys like Caleb Williams. That's cool. I'm not really big on Pac-12 guys, but whatever. But I think at the end of the day, if you're bringing in, like I saw Terry Bradshaw and company talking about, hey, maybe bring in Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, do a dynamic duo in that, or you bring in another offensive-minded guy, and it's like, T, I'm kind of with you. I don't know if you're feeling how I'm feeling. Like college guys, not really rocking with that.
I'm right there with you on that, Mike.
Yeah, I'm good. I get it. Caleb, that's his guy, but I'm good. But I just think at the end of the day, man, it's a business. And I think Fields will have success in other places. I've been very vocal on Twitter about him going home. I want him to go to ATL. I want him to go ride it up with London and Ridley. London and Bijan Robinson, and obviously Kyle Pitts and all those guys. I think he can really run up the board down there. And I think the 3 of us will be on shows either together or separate saying, why couldn't he do that when he was here? And it's just because you didn't give him the opportunity to. And so it'll probably be a new quarterback.
That's the thing for me, Mike. I am right there with you. I think that Justin Fields, we've seen the flashes, right? Today he had his arguably best game of his NFL career. 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. Really good game for him as a passer. Obviously, some blown coverages from Denver help with that. But, you look, if we're going into year 4, as you said, it's so tough not to reset the clock, right? Especially when you go out, you get a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. Hopefully they stay away from Drake May. I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's going to be as successful in the NFL as some scouts think, but only time will tell on that. I mean, I did see Skip Bayless came out the other day and said that Shadir Sanders should be the number 1 quarterback in the draft.
Really?
So, which, I mean, he just likes to hear himself talk. But, in that regard, I think if this coaching staff is gone at the end of the year, which they should be, I was calling for them to walk out Kevin Warren or Ryan Poles at the presser and say, we're done, we're moving on from Matt Eberflus. Bring in another guy. I mean, as crazy of a pipe dream as it is, Lovie Smith's available. He's a guy that can call this defense.
You want more Tampa 2, T?
Well, we're already in the Tampa 2. I mean, we're just running a Tampa 2 with super soft zones, and I hate what this defense has become. But
I hate what this team has put us through, like, to this point this year. There was so much hope and optimism leading up to this season. Everybody's talking, this is the Bears team this is the big year for them. They're going to take that step forward. We're going to take the North and never give it back. And we haven't taken shit.
We're not going to win a game in the division if this team keeps.
We might not win a game the rest of the year. I'm sure they will. You're playing the Panthers at some point this year, so hopefully you win that game. But
over 340 days, if I'm not mistaken.
It's
right.
It's been almost a full year. So
this has to be When the Bears play the Panthers this season has to be a defining moment for Justin Fields, right? If he comes out and gets lit up by the Panthers and Bryce Young looks really good, the lazy narrative's immediately going to be, well, the Bears should have drafted Bryce Young. I'm glad that they stayed away from him, a guy that's, a $185, $190 soaking wet
Right.
and just doesn't have the height there. I think he would get killed behind this Bears offensive line. I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words after this loss today, to be honest with you, Mike, because I thought the Bears were going to come out and right the ship, at least give us something to look forward to going forward. And all they did was manage to take the air out of every Bears fan in Chicago. So,
And now they're on a short week going to Washington to play the Commanders, which
It's had a great game too.
Yeah, I mean that's not even, that could be just like this. You're looking at a game where you might come out there and play well, but you're just going to get out schemed.
I don't think so. they just went tick for tack with Philly. I mean, they almost beat them, and they took Philly to OT, and Philly's 4-0 right now. There's no, like that's my thing. I said the same thing you did this morning. I was like, oh man, Denver and then Washington, because I haven't been following Washington like that.
Right.
There's one kid out of UNC football who's ever had success, and his name is not Mitchell Trubisky. It's Sam Howell, and I think Sam Howell is going to light us up.
Well, I mean, we talked about the Panther game. That's in 6 weeks. Who's to say Fields is even starting at that point? I don't want to say that they're going to bench him, but at some point,
I mean, he is, unless he's hurt. I would say.
You think so?
I don't think this organization trots out Nathan Peterman or Tyson Bagent as the starting quarterback unless Fields is hurt.
I wanted to throw this one to you guys though, because this is where I was coming from with it, right? I don't think they have the power to say that. Matt Eberflus or Luke Getsy, I don't think that either the McCaskies or Ryan Poles would sign that off. Like if they went in there and said, "Yo, we want to try out Tyson Bagent," dude, we don't even want you out there. You think we want Tyson Bagent? Like if this is Matt Nagy had the reins. Obviously, Ryan Pace gave him full control. We saw that through Foles and Dalton and Fields and Trubisky. Like he had the ability to do whatever he wanted to do with that offense. Dude, you're a horrible OC and you run defensive plays, and Alan Williams, we don't even know what the fuck that is. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like we are tired of all of you. So we're rocking out with the kid. Like that's how I feel. Like, do you guys feel the same way? Like I don't think they have the power to be able to be like, no, Fields' experiment is done.
I feel like from the beginning, Ryan did not want Eberflus as his head coach. I think it was one of those situations where, we hired all these people to do a head coaching search. We interviewed all the head coaches. Then we're gonna interview the GM, hire him, and be like, hey, we like this guy. We think this is the guy you should go with. That's how I think this went down. Mm-hmm. Just like last time. I think what you're going to end up seeing is some point this year, Flus is just going to be so separated from Poles that it's just going to be. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to move forward with a different coach, and the season keeps going the way it's going. You got the number 1 pick for sure on lock, and then you're looking at a quarterback for a new coach that your GM wants to bring in. Maybe you marriage it all together properly this time, but it's depressing that we're here at week 4 talking about this already.
So here's the thing. You bring in Kevin Warren, who I think was an outstanding hire.
I like him a lot.
To replace Ted Phillips, and you would think that he would be more involved in football operations than he really has thus far, at least. Maybe there's more going on behind the scenes than what we're privy to, but when the whole Alan Williams thing came out, I really thought we were going to see Kevin Warren come out and speak on that topic, as he probably should have, or at the very least, Poles should have been out there same day. And you go back to the organizational failure that really structurally starts from the top down. I think after this season, if you get rid of Flus and clear the coaching staff, I almost think you have to move on from Ryan Poles, let Kevin Warren have a fresh start to hire somebody that he likes at the general manager position. Mm-hmm. As frustrating as that would be, because I do like some of the picks that Poles has made here in the last couple of years, obviously, but really this team, I think, needs to go to an outside consulting firm that their job solely is to hire coaches, hire general managers. The last time we went to Bill Polian, who's, I believe, well over 80 years old. I don't know how old he is, but
I'm pretty sure you're close.
he's been out of the league for a number of years, and kind of out of touch, I would say, with the whole situation. And that's the guy that you listen to. And when the Bears caught flack for that, George said, "Well, we trust Bill. He's a good friend, longtime associate, whatever."
Right.
I don't care. You go to a guy. Brian Dable was available. Mike McDaniel was available. You don't even give these guys the time that they deserve. And then you bring in Eberflus after 2 days and you say, we've done our extensive coaching search and vetted all the candidates. You didn't.
It's what they do, though.
You
That's
did
what this team
team-
does.
You did this team a disservice again. And now we're really out here living it as Bears fans, seeing Eberflus be completely lost, not knowing how to call a defense, even though he's a defensive-minded guy. And Luke Getsy, for all intents and purposes, I think Aaron Rodgers made him look better than he is.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
100%.
I tweeted at least once a week that him and Getsy and Hackett just held Rodgers' jockstrap for 5 years in Green Bay and got head coaching jobs and got offensive coordinating jobs because of it. And, that's a big part right now. We talk about Hackett. And, okay, why was nobody talking about Hackett during the offseason being the Jets offensive coordinator? Is because when you bring in Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter. Even right now with the Chicago Bears, if Aaron Rodgers was on this team, if Patrick Mahomes was on this team, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, these guys who don't respectfully need to be coached, if you have that kind of guy, it really doesn't matter who your OC is. I think those guys are going to be able to, in big-time plays, they're going to find their guys. But when you have a Zach Wilson, and that's just awful, or a Kenny Pickett, or a guy like that, or even let's put the middle ground, a guy like Sam Howell, a guy like Justin Fields, who has the intangibles, who has the potential, but they need that guidance. Like Justin's not that guy. I know he's not that guy to be able to build himself. If someone else helps him, I think he could be a superstar. I really do. But if he doesn't have that Philly type of organization around him or that Kansas City type organization around him, he's not going to succeed. And this is what this team does. We talk the same thing about Caleb Williams. I don't like Pac-12 quarterbacks because they don't play anybody. That's just the reality. And then you look at it and you're going to be like, okay, cool. We're going to bring in another defensive-minded guy because to your point, it's like, well, Ace, listen, bro, I know he's 80, but like he understands what Hallis wanted. And I get what Hallis wanted. That would be fine if this was even the early 2000s or the 90s. Like, okay, defensive-minded guys run the ball. We're not in that era anymore. And it's like, I get it. You want to carry Hallis's legacy, but you're also shitting on the entire organization that he created by not just advancing to what today is. And it's until we see that change, I love Marvin Harrison Jr. His dad beat us in the Super Bowl, and that sucks. But yeah, I think it's a cool story. And then obviously Caleb Williams, he does look like the best quarterback coming out of the class, and that's great. But again, if you don't go after the Jim Caldwells, the Mike McDaniels, the Brian Dables, or even the Jim Harbaughs, like just interview Lincoln Riley. We talked. I don't want Lincoln Riley. Just interview him though. Like have a conversation.
Right. Do your due diligence.
Right. I'm not trying to get a defensive coordinator. You're going to hire a GM, say you have full control on who you hire, and 2 days later he hired somebody.
He didn't have full control. It was a mirage. It was a smoke screen.
They said, we will hire you, but this is who you're hiring, as if you're cool with that. And Ryan Poles, and hey, all power to him, because I would have did the same thing.
Right.
If you're getting a general manager job and all I got to do is hire this bum, cool.
Right.
Bet, where do I sign?
Right. Like, that's fine. I'm getting rid of him in 2 years anyway.
Right. That's what I was just going to say, because in his position, he's going to have more rope than the head coach will have. So
it's a frustrating time to be a Chicago Bears fan.
I do want to, this is my last, I wanted to ask you guys, I've been trying to pick your brain about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Fields, I stand with you, bro. I want you to know that. Like, I'm rocking with you, even in the future. I've loved Fields since I was in high school. But if they move on from him, what do you get? Like right now, like for Zach Wilson, I wouldn't give you a can of Pringles.
No
but
shot.
What are you getting right now for the guy who's broken single NFL records? He's kind of developing into the quarterback you want him to be. I'm thinking 3rd round pick.
That's what I was going to say. Probably a 3rd round at this point, and maybe a conditional next year. It's going to be. Maybe you're looking at a guy who hasn't proven that he can win, consistently at this level, and a guy who has struggled at times to find the open receiver. So to think they're going to give up anything more than a third, I think a third is kind of right where I would be.
Yeah, maybe a low second if a team's really desperate and they think schematically they can turn Justin Fields more into that Jalen Hurts type passer. I mean, it's so tough to say because how he performs the rest of the year is going to be so determining on whether that's a third, whether it's a fifth. I mean, realistically, he could come out and look horrible the rest of the season, and you're dropping that pick to a fourth or fifth. And I mean, you have to continue playing him, right? If you're the Bears, you cannot trot Tyson Bagent, a D2 unproven quarterback, out there. I don't care if he led the NCAA in all-time passing yards or not.
He was there for a while, though. I will say that too.
Absolutely. But you can't trot Tyson Bagent out there and leave Justin Fields on the sidelines. Part of me wishes they would for just like a half of football, so all these lazy narrative fans can stop saying that Bagent's the answer and Fields is a running back.
I thought it was last week. I didn't understand why Fields was in the fourth quarter at all. I think that was the moment where it was like, hey, listen, bro, we're down 30. Like, throw Bagent in just so I don't see my quarterback blow out his knee. Like, that was so irresponsible that they were even in that game.
Yep.
And to say, oh, it's
Totally
it's for learning purposes, man, respectfully, like, shut up, bro. Like,
Right.
What are you learning at that point?
It's year 3. What are we doing?
We got
I'm
a comment
learning
here
still?
in the chat. Just watched part of Eberflus addressing the media where he immediately blamed Fields for the fumble on a play you can't call there. Blamed execution, held himself to zero accountability.
And that's how you lose the locker room.
That's
Period.
exactly how you
know.
lose
And
the
like I
locker
get
room.
it. At times, Flus has come off very passive when it comes to, or like defensive for his players. Like, oh, I'm not going to call these guys out. But like, I don't necessarily just blame Justin Fields for that fumble in that situation. And I don't know.
It was a bad play call.
Right.
100%.
I think it's a weird. This is going to get just when. So my 9-year-old, I was talking to him before last week's game, and I was like, well, it can't get much worse than it is now. And then he goes, well, Dad, I was reading a book in school, and usually when you say it can't get worse, it ends up getting worse. Well, I thought that again today, that it couldn't get worse after all the crazy shit that went on the last week with the defensive coordinator and all that shit. And then they come out and they're looking good and they lose. And now you're going to have the head coach calling out players. And this is just, to me, I feel like at the end of this week, there's going to be a couple changes, whether it's the head coach or offensive coordinator, something has to change because what you're doing right now isn't working.
Well, the Bears have never fired a coach in season. With as bad as Mark Trestman was, they let him wait until
this might be worse
5
though than
minutes
Trestman,
after the
for
last
real.
game of
Like,
the season.
at least Trestman had the best offense the Bears have had. So I mean, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Mark Trestman got demoted in the XFL as a play caller last year, so I wouldn't say that the Bears had the best offense ever behind him. But
I also think we had a lot of guys then. We had Marty, we had V. Marsh, we had Jeffrey, Forte, Jay. I mean, we had some dogs. We had Zach Miller too. Like we had some dogs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I miss Cutler.
Get out of here!
I don't know about that one.
Days
But,
like today, man.
I missed that squad. I'll say it.
Yeah, that was a good little group.
But I don't know though, man. I think the firing thing is like, for what? You know what I mean? Like, what do we? For like in that comment we just had that we just pulled up, like, okay, if you lose the locker room, if that's the case, if you're blaming Fields for this, like, dude, Fields didn't run. Fields didn't HB dive in Madden on 4th and 1 in a crucial game at a tie game. You got to put the ball in the best player's hands, and you put it in Khalil Herbert's, who, cool, to T's point, cool, 4 straight downs, looked great. It's Khalil Herbert at the end of the day, bro. Like, this isn't Derrick Henry. This isn't Saquon. This isn't CMC. Like, put the ball in Fields' hands. He's the biggest quarterback we've ever had. Like, that's just real. And it's like, okay, who's the best runner on the team? Justin. Who's the most athletic? Justin. Who's probably the biggest? Outside of Cole Kmet, Justin. And it's like, I'm not trying to see Cole Kmet on a 4th and 1 quarterback sneaking again, and it's like,
So we were talking before you jumped on with us, Mike, and for me, it makes zero sense to go shotgun on 4th and 1 there.
yeah,
That's what are you doing? You need to be going under center. But if you're going to go out of the shotgun,
right,
run an RPO. Let Fields boot out to the left, have a check down in front of him, or hit the corner and run out. You don't trust Justin Fields to get a yard? I mean, it's absolutely atrocious to see that play call. You go to Khalil Herbert, and then you don't even do it from under center. I just don't understand formationally why you would go out a shotgun there on 4th and 1.
yeah.
Got a
for sure.
comment here. Podcast is refreshing. Finally, some guys that really get it and understand. My new favorite. Appreciate the love, Facebook user. Again, if you jump over to the YouTube and or go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, it will allow us to put your name and likeness up on the screen so we know who we're talking to. But yeah, man, I mean, realistically, I just don't understand what you're doing from a fundamental standpoint on 4th and 1 to go out of the shotgun. It's like when Matt Nagy was calling the tight end sweeps on the goal line 2 years ago. It gave me Vietnam flashbacks, so to speak.
Right.
Go right back to that.
But that's better. That's, to me, that is better than what I'm seeing right now with Cole Kmet. And it's like, I don't care if he's podcasting now. I don't care if he's a man of the people. I don't care if you're from Chicago, even though he's from the burbs. I'll tell you what, I do know this. People around the city are talking about he went to his old high school last week and got booed. People aren't talking about that. Like, hey,
Really?
listen, Cole's cool. Cole's a cool guy. But guess what? I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. Like, respectfully, I don't care about you putting up stats today. I don't care about the 2 tutties at the end of the day. Like, I care about what this team does. And we talk about it all the time. And I'm a 2000s baby. So, like, Kobe was everything. You know what I mean? And I listen to that. I listen to him and I listen to what he says to this day. I listen to podcasts and just, motivational interviews of him. Bro, like, if you put up 5 yards, but you won the game. I was telling my girl's nephew yesterday, he's like 3 or 4. He's like, I didn't score at my soccer game. I was like, but did you win? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, then. Like, that's cool. Like, you won. Like, that's everything. And that's all we're, as Bears fans right now, 300 yards, 400 yards, 200 yards. I don't care how many yards Fields throws. If it's translating to wins, that's where we're at.
Yep.
That's
Right.
all I'm cool with. We could put Josh McCown in there right now. As long as we're winning games, I do not care what the stats look like.
And that's what me and T
Yeah.
would talk about this whole offseason when everybody was criticizing, oh, Justin's just a runner, blah, blah, blah. Like,
It's fine.
what you want your quarterback to do is put your team in the best position to win the game. And if that's by a combination of, 100 yards rushing and 150 yards passing and a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown, and it gets you the win, that's all that matters at the end of the day. That's
Right.
something that this team can't do. They just cannot win. 14
So-
straight losses by allowing 25 points or more. 14
So-
straight. It's crazy.
There was a 6-week stretch last year where the Bears led the league in average scored points per game.
I think
and
it
didn't,
was like 8 weeks.
was
to
it
be
8
honest.
weeks?
I think
Okay.
they were doing like 30 points per game. It was that
And
was
didn't-
Fields' crazy takeoff
Yeah.
And didn't win a game during that stretch.
Nope.
Like,
because we gave up 32, and it was just like,
exactly.
bro, like, but that's my whole point is like, what are we doing? Because you bring in this guy in Flues, and you bring in Yannick, who's a part of the Indy system, which is the same as Flues, and I don't see him being
Right.
aggressive. I don't see him going after it. DeMarcus Walker had over 8 sacks last year. Don't see him going after it. T, to your point, listen, I get it. A couple guys have looked decent. Jaquan Brisker, I like Jaquan a lot. I think he talks a little too much, but I like to. He's a little too wild when the fans got to stop booing us, bro. Shut up, stop. We haven't won in a year. Stop. But I think when I look at the picks he's made, Velus Jones in the 3rd round, these 2 defensive tackles that we have right now, and Pickens and Javon, we talked about them all preseason long and all training camp. They look great. They're huge. Where are they? Like, you know what I mean?
Doing?
And it's like, even Darnell Wright, he's making mistakes, but he looks okay. I'm looking at Jalen Carter, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of crazy. Like, looking like one of the best tackles already in football. And it's like, and then the Chase Claypool thing, a 1st-round pick just gone. Chase Claypool, now we want a 6th. And it's like, so we came in so Chase Claypool could score 1 touchdown and make an ignorant-ass comment. And then go dress up in France and pretend to be whatever. Like, I don't like to polls, I don't see what you did, bro. I really don't. Like you got the number one pick and you got DJ Moore. Cool. That's expected when you have the number one pick. It's not rock. Me and you can do that, T. Like that's
Right.
Ace. We could literally sit in a room right now and demand 2 firsts and a wide receiver 1 and
Right.
probably get it. And it's like when I look at him from a drafting standpoint, look at the Dolphins rookie running back today. 20 carries. In the last 20 carries, he's had 6 touchdowns. He's an absolute dog. And then Roshan Johnson is just like a backup for Bijan. And it's like, I don't think it's as sweet. The honeymoon stage is over. That's my point. Is like, you know, we thought shit was going to be so sweet. And now you're really looking at it and you're like, you know what? Maybe she is toxic. You know what I mean?
Maybe she is toxic.
Yeah, maybe she is toxic.
Maybe
I like
is.
that. But no, realistically, man, I get what you're saying there, Mike, to a T. There are some questions, especially with Chase Claypool, man. Obviously, with that second round pick that you gave up there, you probably could have drafted a number of receivers that would have been more successful than him this season.
Another lineman?
Another lineman? You know,
I mean, St. Brown has had more productivity in this game today than Claypool's had his entire time with the Bears. I mean, okay, maybe not, but pretty close.
No, it's only 1 touchdown. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot. There's not a lot to show for Claypool in the last, 14 games he's been here. I think all of those games we've lost, too, to T's point. Like, since he got here, it's just been a bad time.
The Bears have not won a game since they traded Roquan Smith, guys.
Yep. Yeah, it's and then
wild.
So I was looking at last year's games just to see where like the fall off started to happen. After the Lions game, when they lost 31-30, they hadn't scored over 25 points since until today. So, I mean, clearly there's been a disconnect with this offense. They were on fire for a few weeks, and then the league kind of caught up with them like the league does, and they haven't made the adjustments that are needed to make when you're trying to be better in this NFL.
And that Lions game was kind of like, this is me. I don't know. I just think if that's the right one I'm thinking about, that's the game we lost because Justin threw the pick 6. And it was like big one, little one,
right.
OSU. That's this game kind of solidified something I've been thinking about for a while. That clutch factor and Justin just isn't there. I've seen him throw 2 pick 6s in big time moments that were the last plays of the game. Obviously against Tampa, which that you could say that's on Getsy, but at the end of the day, you're the quarterback, bro. Don't throw that fucking ball. You know better.
Right.
And then against the Lions too. And it's like now today, like you can say what you want about Eberflus calling that game, but Justin threw that ball that ended it. You know what I mean? And we were right there to tie that game up. And it's like you have to put yourself in a position to be clutch. Like you can talk all you want. You could say you're athletic. You could do this, this, and that. That's fine, bro. I love when people talk, but if you're not walking with it, bro, stop talking to me. Like I don't want to hear it. And it's just like I'm at this point where I'm like, do I trust Fields in the clutch? I don't think.
I mean, at this point, he's proven you can't trust him in the clutch. He has nothing. He's not shown it at all, and that's what you also need in a quarterback is a guy who, under those pressure, can step up and at least put you in a position again to get the field goal to tie it or get the touchdown to win it, and he just hasn't done that.
Mikey, we appreciate you jumping on with us. Before we let you go, I got one more quick one for you.
Man, what's up, dude?
What is your threshold for Fields to stay or go? I know you touched on it. If there's a new coaching regime, obviously it's kind of unfair to him to go into year 4 not knowing if you're going to pick up that 5th-year deal. But I guess what do you need to see out of Fields for you to want to keep him in Chicago at the end of this season?
Nothing for me. I mean, and that's not anything. I want that clear too, because someone's going to clip that. I want that clear too, that it has nothing to do with Justin Fields. I think this season from start to finish was what was going to dictate that. I think Chase Claypool being a big part of this offense, DJ Moore being utilized, all those other pieces being utilized and helping him advance time, like we talked about, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts type of leap. I haven't seen that. And understanding that we're in a tankathon right now, again, for the 2nd year in a row, getting the number 1 overall pick. Name one time that's ever worked out for the starting quarterback. And it's just, I don't
Yes.
think by the end of this season there's anything I can say to where it's fair to us or it's fair to him or it's fair to the next head coach or it's fair to polls. Like, I just think it's a shitty situation no matter what. And I think I know he's going to have success wherever he goes.
Couldn't agree more. Very well said, my friend. Mike, we appreciate you giving us some time this afternoon. Before we let you go, why don't you let everybody know where they can find and follow you?
Man, you can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram, theshy.kid. Always doing stuff over there. We're a free agent right now when it comes to the sports networking stuff. But I'm vibing. I'm hanging out, just doing my own thing. So you can check us out over there. Always follow my guys. Always check out their StreamYards. Check out their YouTubes up here. They do great stuff, and I listen to them weekly. So you guys should too. That's just me talking. I'm not trying to gaslight nobody, but
We
Mike,
appreciate
man, I
you,
appreciate
Mike,
you
man.
jumping on. It was awesome.
man, I'll talk to you guys later. All right.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Our guy, Mike Hughes, awesome sports coverage. Definitely go give him a follow on TikTok at theshy.kid. He posts some really good takes on there.
Yeah, I love Mike's takes. He really articulate when he's explaining things on his shows and everything like that. And he's right, man. Like, this whole Justin Fields thing, it's so unfortunate, right?
Are you like
that
trying
this,
to mock me? I kind of understand.
I would take Cutler. I just said it here. Like, I'd take Cutler today.
We heard you. We heard
But
you.
it's just so unfortunate, man, that we just always find ourselves in this situation. They did this shit with Pace when they brought Pace in. They were like, well, hey, new GM, we're going to give you John Fox to be your coach.
We're going to give you John Fox.
Yeah, and that didn't work out, right? Then he goes and hires Nagy, and, minor success, I would call it, because he did make the playoffs one
that
year.
Team wasn't successful because of Matt Nagy, though. Let's
right.
set the record
I agree.
on that.
But I also think that, you're looking at a guy, yes, he did get a backdoor into the playoffs the last time, whatever.
He did make the playoffs 2 out of 3 years in Chicago, right?
And he had a winning record. Flus, the odds of him, he would have to win every game for the next few years to get to a winning record. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah,
And to me, it's just not working. You know how when you can just tell, like, okay, this team, it's not working right now, but I feel like they can get it turned around. I don't have that feeling with this team. I thought today was going to be that day. Okay, you're up 28-7 going into the fourth quarter. This is your day to turn it around, build the confidence you need to build in your quarterback. You've shown your offense can work when you're doing all these things. I think it's wild that they waited till week 4 to do as many pre-snap motion and play action that they did today. That's something we've talked about plenty. The pre-snap motion, play action, it gets the defense having to think. And when you're thinking, you're not just going. And it already puts your offense one step ahead of the defense. And you watch that all game today, right? Until the fourth quarter, when, like Mike said, the adjustments were made by a Super Bowl winning head coach and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Those adjustments were made. They carved the defense. The defense didn't do anything to stop them. And then your quarterback, has a situation where he fumbles the ball, which leads to a tie game, and then throws an interception. And that's where we're at.
That's where we're at, man. It's not pretty, guys. It's not fun to be a Chicago Bears fan right now. But we still have to be here to talk about it, even when it's tough. So
Packers suck.
Packers do suck. Jordan Love is bad.
Yeah.
He's actually thrown I saw a stat the other day, and I'm probably misquoting this, but he's thrown 30% of his passes have been completely out of play to the receivers or something along those lines. It's wild. It's nice that hopefully the Packers won't have another Hall of Fame level quarterback for a while, but man, I mean, just back to our Chicago Bears, Ace. It's tough right now to be a Bears fan. We've got to see what comes up Thursday.
And that's the other thing. You're looking at a game with
if this team is 0-5 after a Thursday night potential loss to a team that just pushed the Philadelphia Eagles into overtime. we may not win a game the rest of the year. I mean, I'm sure they will. I'm sure we'll pull out a game against like the Saints or the Raiders or Carolina. You know, those are 3 games that on paper are very winnable. Today was the day to bounce back and win, and
Right.
it almost, you're right. It almost feels like this is such a meltdown, like
And now
toxic
you're expected a short
situation.
week to turn around after a meltdown like this. This isn't like when you got blown out against KC. Everybody knew going into this season that was a loss, right? You
Right.
knew you were going to lose to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. You go into this game and you're winning going into the fourth quarter and you find a way to choke it away. Now you have to deal with all that onto a Thursday night game. If they,
So-
this is what I think, right? They don't fire coaches midseason, right? That's their thing up at Hallis Hall.
But it's getting awful hot in here.
And it's going to only get hotter because it's a short turnaround into a Thursday night game, which
Right.
historically Thursday night games have been trash. So I can't imagine this game is going to be any different.
Historically, the Bears have not played well against
No.
Washington either.
And none of the games so far have been good. I thought this past Thursday with the Lions and the Packers was going to be a solid game, and that wasn't the case. The Lions
It was for Detroit.
right. The Lions trucked the Packers, but if they lose Thursday, and most likely they will lose because they can't. This team hasn't proven to win.
The defense can't stop a cold.
Right. You've lost to Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, and now an aging Russell Wilson. Like, and you allowed them to put up 31 points, which is even more crazy to me.
Which is, it's so embarrassing, right? Like,
It's
you see the memes that people post that are like a guy with clown face paint on, and it says
crying in the mirror.
Me preparing for the Bears game every Sunday, and you know, all this stuff. We got a comment here. Scheme could help with that. Absolutely, the Bears are scheming themselves. There was actually a quote during the broadcast that said something along the lines of Luke Getsy is scheming himself out of a job in the NFL. You can't call that play in this situation. And, you know, ultimately it's death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? But today Justin Fields did everything that he could do in his young career to win this game for the Bears, aside from the turnovers.
Sure, that dumpster fire was our boy Vince watching.
Sure, they were ugly, but you know, at the end of the day, this team has done everything that they can to lose a game. Like, it's almost comical the level of production that it seems like we're trying to win. It almost seems like they're saying go out there and play competitive, but is this Vince? And Fields did what he could to lose the game.
Let me see.
Is that who that is? Because Justin Fields threw 4 touchdowns.
It was Vince.
Today,
very good.
Bro.
Very good.
You cannot put that loss on him when he had the best game of his young career, 330 yards.
So I agree with you. I kind of agree with both of you, right? It's like what Mike said. Like, he just doesn't have that clutch gene. You know, they didn't call Cutler, you know, Clutchler for no reason because the dude was clutch, you know, but
all right, Angelo has been removed from the broadcast. Clutchler. Nobody ever called Jay Cutler that.
I did.
They called him Smoking Jay.
Smoking Jay, but
the comment here, I know this is Vince. He fumbled again, and if he's going to be an elite QB, you can't make that mistake. I agree. Schematically, they shouldn't have ran that play in that time. But yes, Justin shouldn't have fumbled. I thought it was a forward pass. They didn't even stop to review it because it looked like his arm was moving forward. But you're not going to win them all, right? We got a one gimme on the first touchdown that really shouldn't have probably been a touchdown. DJ Moore hitting that pylon with his shoe. But, you know, ultimately it's a game of inches, and every Sunday –
the Bears find the inch the wrong way.
Every Sunday, the Bears find an inch in the wrong direction. Yep. So it's tough. It's not fun being a Chicago Bears fan, guys. what is fun is coming on here and venting about it and interacting with all of you. So we want to say we appreciate the interaction this afternoon, and
Yeah,
let's
maybe we'll
see
do a
what
couple
happens
more of these
Thursday.
post games because it's always nice to have a Bears venting therapy session after a complete and total cluster of a game. And that was actually not. It was just a terrible fourth quarter. So
Absolutely. Hopes and dreams killed in the last 15 minutes of the game. But
yep.
Anyways, guys, we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. Be sure to go like, follow, and subscribe the Undefeated Sports Network on all major platforms. We are on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Go find us, give us a follow, give us a like, help the algorithm out so we can keep pushing this excellent Bears content out to you each and every week. With that being said, guys, we appreciate you and have a good night. We will see you next Thursday, whether it's pregame or postgame. We'll keep you posted, but as always, bear down.